Hi everybody, it's Dr. Beth Cook. It's Friday. I'm excited. I'm hoping that I have some people join me today because it's much more fun when people join me. If not, it's okay. I'll talk to myself and y'all can catch the replay later. So on Tuesday, I talked about autoimmune disease. Oh, can y'all see my beautiful babies back there kind of behind all my desktop icons? I need to clean that up. Anyway, sorry, they distracted me. On Tuesday, I talked about autoimmune disease. Autoimmune disease is a pretty broad category because there's so many different kinds. So today, I thought I'd go into more detail about Hashimoto's. I had somebody ask me to talk about Hashimoto's, and I see it quite a bit in my office, so I think it's important. Since nobody's joining me, I'm gonna go and share this so that maybe somebody will. So if you do jump on, just say hi. Let me know how your day's going. So before I start, I wanted to remind everybody that, hang on. Let me share it. I need to find a better system for this so you're not looking at the back of my head. Just gonna share it everywhere. Anyway, okay, sorry. So I want to remind you that, the difficult part about what I do is that I can't offer you like a here's a Hashimoto's 5 tips to cure your Hashimoto's class or something like that, or a webinar about what the 10 things that you need to do to cure your Hashimoto's disease is. I can't offer you that. That's the difficult part about my job, and that's because we are all unique. And as I treat more and more patients, that becomes even more, hey Dr. Flynn, that becomes even more evident that we're all so different. The stressors that I have are different than the stressors you have, and the environment that you live in is different than the environment I live in, and my diet is different than your diet. So there is no such thing as having this cookie cutter, let's cure your thyroid disease or your Hashimoto's class with these simple steps. Sure, there are things that you should do. There are preventative measures you should take, like, cutting out sugars and getting better fats in and getting clean protein and removing toxins from your home and, not using plastics and exercising more. Those are all things that you should be doing, but those are preventative. So those are things that you should do so you don't get sick. Right? So a lot of people I see are already sick. They either have had a diagnosis already, or they are feeling a bunch of symptoms that they don't understand, and they don't know what's going on with them. So their bodies, that disease process has already been going on for a while, and now they're finally getting to the point where they're feeling it and they're symptomatic. And so if you get to that point, you're beyond prevention, okay? You're beyond, let's do things that help me prevent disease. No, you're beyond that point. You're at a point now where you have to do some more investigation. You have to do some more testing. You have to do more supplementation. You have to do more extreme changes to your lifestyle, because your body is already not functioning like it's supposed to. So we have to help you figure out what are those things that you need to be doing. And so that's why I can't give you like a Hashimoto's class on the special endocrine promoting foods that you should eat and then expect your Hashimoto's to go away. So these talks are really for me to help you understand what steps you should be taking if you are sick, or if you think you're sick, if you've gotten a diagnosis, if you haven't gotten a diagnosis, if you have a bunch of symptoms and you don't really know what to do, or the options or the plan that your doctor has you on are not very effective or good, then these are the steps that you need to be taking so that your body can heal. You're not on prevention anymore. You're not in that realm. You are beyond prevention. You need to be taking steps to figure out what the heck is going on and what you need to do about it. Okay? So that being said, I went on Mayo Clinic to see, what do they say about Hashimoto's. So Hashimoto's is this is what Mayo Clinic says it is. It's a disease in which your immune system attacks your thyroid, which is a small gland at the base of your neck. Your thyroid gland is a part of your endocrine system, so it helps govern and regulate a lot of different mechanisms inside of your body. So Hashimoto's is a hypothyroid disorder. It means your thyroid is not fast enough. That's why people with hypothyroidism are cold all the time. Their hair's falling out. They can't lose weight. They have brain fog. They have depression. There's a lot of different symptoms that go with hypothyroidism, but those are some of the bigger ones. So Hashimoto's is an autoimmune hypothyroid condition. And to be able to determine the difference symptom-wise between hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's just by your symptoms is very difficult. They present almost the same. So that's why a lot of women get diagnosed with hypothyroidism and then they have no idea that they have Hashimoto's. I just did a test result today with a patient, and that was the case for her. She's been treated for hypothyroidism for a long time and had no idea she had Hashimoto's. And we'll talk about why in a minute, why it's been so long. So Mayo Clinic says that Hashimoto's is an autoimmune disorder, which your immune system creates antibodies that damage your thyroid gland. True story. Doctors don't know what caused your immune system to attack your thyroid gland. Some scientists think that a virus or bacterium may trigger the immune response, while others believe it's a genetic flaw. A combination of factors, including sex and age, may determine the likelihood of the developing disorder. So the big thing there is that they don't know what causes your immune system to attack your thyroid gland, and that they think it's a virus or bacterium and that it's a genetic flaw. Okay, we can take the genetic blame game down any chronic disease path. We have no control over our genes, right? I can't control them. You can't control them. We have no control over our genes. Zero whatsoever. What we do have control over is how we treat those genes, how we treat our bodies. That is what we have control over. So happy Friday, Donna. Thanks for watching. Thanks for saying hi. That is what we have control over. So that is where our focus should be, right? Our focus, all this research on genes and genetic testing is great, but we have no control over that. Hi, Emily. How are you? I get to see you so soon. I'm so excited. Sorry. So that part is what we should be focusing on. So we're going to talk about, since the doctors don't know what trigger your immune system, we're going to talk about what does, and how I help patients figure that out, how we figure out what your triggers are. Because that's the key. If we can figure out what's triggering your immune system, and why is your thyroid creating this response that is causing your immune system to attack it. If we can figure that out, then we can help that healing process to occur. A lot of people think that when they get diagnosed with something like Hashimoto's that they have it forever, and that's not true. I've seen patients that have antibodies against their thyroid. There's a couple different kinds, and their numbers go down. And so if you had Hashimoto's and you could never get rid of it, then that would not be true. So I mentioned that, the difference between hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's is very difficult to differentiate symptom-wise. So the way that you know that you have not just hypothyroid, but you have Hashimoto's, which means you have an autoimmune component to it, is through testing. So testing your antibodies. So the patient I talked about earlier that she didn't know she had it, she wondered why. Why didn't they test me for this? So most likely, I'm not her doctor, so I can't make every assumption in the world, but most likely it's because she has a low TSH, she has a really high TSH, and they said, oh, you have hypothyroidism, let's give you some medication for that. So they give you Synthroid or levothyroxine, and your TSH level goes down. And it seems like they're controlling the situation with the medication, did their job, you're done. No further investigation is needed. They don't even need to go look at anything else to help you because the medication is doing its job. So that's where I think some people do get the diagnosis, is because the medication isn't working, or their symptoms are just persisting and persisting and persisting. They're not getting any better, and they persist and they ask for a referral, or their doctor actually does some more testing with them. It's very rare that I have a patient that comes to me that has had complete comprehensive testing done. So that's where you have to start. You have to start with testing your thyroid. TSH is not a thyroid hormone. It's a brain hormone. It stimulates your thyroid and tells your thyroid what to do. So if you have a high TSH, that means your thyroid's not working fast enough, and they give you medication for that. So your thyroid, the medication they give you is T4. Your thyroid's going to produce T4, and your body's going to convert it to T3. There's a lot of things that can interfere with that process. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But there are a ton of other things that should be tested when you have a thyroid condition. So if you present with all these symptoms of hypothyroid, then your thyroid is probably not being tested very comprehensively by your doctor. You need to find a carpenter, somebody like me at the Wellness Way, or another Wellness Way doctor near you, to completely test your thyroid, to test your T4, how much do you have total, how much is available, your T3, your reverse T3, what do your cortisol levels look like, what do your iron levels look like, what do your ferritin levels look like, what do your vitamin D levels look like, do you have any antibodies? There's TPO antibodies and there's thyroglobulin antibodies. So there's different kinds of antibodies that we need to test. So testing is where we have to start, okay? We have to kind of get a baseline and see where you're at. And if you're somebody with hyperthyroidism and you've never had your antibodies tested, I would highly recommend to do that. That is going to be really, really, really important for how your body starts to heal. So we have to figure out what your triggers are. At the Wellness Way, as a chiropractor, chiropractic philosophy tells us that there are 3 reasons why you get sick. You get sick because of trauma, because of toxins, and because of thoughts. So, pregnancy is a big trauma. Pregnancy is, it increases the load on your immune system, on your endocrine system, on your body physically. It can be a big trigger for people. A lot of people, after they have their babies, are like, oh my gosh, my body is never the same. I don't know what's wrong with me. Pregnancy can be a huge trigger. Or just, what does your spine look like? Do you even know? Have you ever been to a chiropractor? Have you ever had your spine checked? Have you ever had x-rays? Just because going to a chiropractor is not just for people that have pain. Looking at your spine is a way to evaluate trauma and checking stress in your spine. And that is important because your spine houses your nervous system. And a lot of times when people get sick, it's because their nervous system is being affected. Look at all the nervous system conditions that we have, from ALS to MS to like neuropathy. There's a ton of diseases of the nervous system. And so that's a great place to start, is to have your spine x-rayed, have your nervous system evaluated. So trauma can be a big reason why patients start to experience these things. Toxins is another big one. So medication itself if you are on certain medications, those can induce autoimmune conditions to start. Also viruses. So especially a virus like Epstein-Barr virus. Epstein-Barr. Hi, Belinda. How are you? I miss you. Hopefully I get to see you soon. Epstein-Barr virus, there's a lot of research that shows most people that have Hashimoto's have EBV. And the virus can be active or it can be latent, but it increases your viral load. That can cause some destruction to your thyroid. And so that could be why you have this autoimmune process going on. So EBV, so if you are somebody that has Hashimoto's and you've been tested, have you ever had any testing done to see if you have viruses? That's a big thing. That's not always a place I start with patients, but it is a place that we will go sometimes if we don't see a lot of change going on. Heavy metals, that's another big thing with thyroid. Heavy metals block iodine, and iodine is really important for your thyroid. So things like fluoride and chlorine and bromide. Fluoride's in our water, it's in your toothpaste if you're using just generic toothpaste. Chlorine's in your water. Bromide is a flame retardant. It's a toxin that we are exposed to a lot. And so heavy metals can be a big mercury, aluminum. Those are all metals that can interfere with how our iodine is being used, and we need iodine for our thyroid hormones to work properly. And so heavy metals can be a big trigger. I talked about medication. Birth control is another one. There's a lot of different triggers that can go on. And then thoughts, like I said, stress is a big one. So we've got to figure out what is triggering your immune system. And there's a lot of different tests that we can do to help you figure that out. So like I said, if you haven't had your antibodies tested, if you have a thyroid condition and you have not had your antibodies tested, then you need to. You need to have them tested big time. If you have an autoimmune condition, if you have something like Hashimoto's, then that increases your chance of having thyroid cancer by a lot. And that's important. If you're somebody like the patient I talked to today, and you have hypothyroid disorder, and you've been on medication for it, which includes Synthroid, and then you discover you have Hashimoto's, what if she never would have discovered that? One day she could have very easily developed thyroid cancer because that was never investigated or looked at. And Synthroid, or levothyroxine, the medication that they're giving you for hypothyroidism, does nothing for those antibodies. Nothing. It does not address your immune system at all. At all. All it is synthetic T4, which is a hormone that your thyroid produces. That's it. That's all it is. So being on Synthroid may give you more T4, but it's doing nothing for your antibodies, and being on that medication long term can increase your risk of breast cancer. So if you have Hashimoto's and you know you have antibodies, then you have to start figuring out what those triggers are to your immune system. You know, what does the rest of your body, how is it functioning? Have you ever had that evaluated? Have you ever had blood tests done to see what does the rest of my body functioning? What does that look like? Is my body even doing what it's supposed to be doing? I discover all kinds of stuff with patients when we do just blood tests. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at all this stuff. My patient today, like her hormones were a wreck. Like she's just a wreck. Her entire endocrine system is a wreck. She had no idea because the only thing she had tested was TSH. That was it. You know, we talked about viral load. So what does your viral load look like? What does your gut look like? How is your gut functioning? Looking at those tests, I can guess all day long. Like I said, I could sit here and do a class on 5 things to treat your Hashimoto's, and being on a probiotic could be one of those. But what if you have all kinds of crazy stuff going on in your gut? I have no idea because I'm just guessing. I'm not testing to see what is really going on inside of you. And that's the problem with a lot of the other realms of functional medicine, is that it's following protocols. And if you have Hashimoto's, okay, I'm going to run this test and this test, and that's it. And we're going to supplement you there, and that's it. We're not going to look at, anywhere else. And so my job is to really dig and investigate and figure out for you specifically what we should be testing and what we should be addressing so that your antibodies do go away. So your immune system stops attacking your thyroid, okay? So we have to test to find the triggers and remove them. We have to. If you have not had any antibody testing done and you know you have hypothyroidism, that's the first thing you need to do. If you find out you have antibodies, then you need to find a wellness way doctor. Because I have patients that I have showed you have antibodies and they went to their endocrinologist and they got on levothyroxine, and I try to tell them it's not doing anything. You have antibodies. Your TSH actually looks okay. And your T4 looks okay. But you have antibodies. And you can't lose weight, and your hair's falling out, and you're tired all the time. It's not a solution, people. It's a Band-Aid. That's all it is a Band-Aid. And eventually that Band-Aid is going to stop sticking. And you're going to have to find another solution. And there aren't a whole lot of solutions. We are all unique. We are all different. And there's not like this unique blend of pharmaceuticals that they can throw together and give you, right? There's like 2 solutions. That's it. They cannot help you figure out why you have what you have going on. They said it. They say it on their website. Doctors don't know what causes your immune system to attack the thyroid. They don't know. So if they don't know what's causing it to attack the thyroid, then how can they customize a treatment plan for you? They can't. They can't. I'm sorry. I don't mean to step on your doctor's toes or offend your doctor, but they just can't. It's not in their wheelhouse. They don't have the tools, okay? So once you get tested and you figure out you have antibodies, then you got to figure out what's triggering your immune system. That usually means we test a couple systems in your body, and we start supporting that. We start there. We don't have to start with like all these different tests. We can start very simply and make simple changes and see how your body is responding. If we can take some of that stress off your body, those 3 T's that I talked about, if we can take some of the stress off of those 3 T's, then your body is going to start to function normally again, or better than it has been. So, doing things like lowering your stress. One toxin I did not talk about was gluten. That's a big no-no if you have an autoimmune condition. So once you get tested and you figure out your stressors, you need to start changing your diet, and you need to start treating yourself better by eating better. Eating healthy fats, getting rid of the sugars, eating lean proteins, drinking more water, getting organic veggies and fruits inside of your body. Removing gluten. Gluten is a huge problem if you have an autoimmune thyroid condition or thyroid in general. Gluten is inflammatory. It's very inflammatory. It can wreck your gut. There is an entire autoimmune condition that's dedicated towards gluten intolerance. So we know that gluten is not good for us. And it also can create molecular mimicry. So it causes your immune system to be confused when you eat it, and it starts attacking your thyroid instead of the gluten. And that's a problem. So I need to remove it so that doesn't happen. You need to support your thyroid. So you need to do things like iodine. You can do a simple iodine test, put some iodine on your arm, on your stomach. If it gets absorbed really quickly, like within 24 hours, that means you're iodine deficient. You need some iodine. Doing selenium. Selenium is a big building block for thyroid hormone. B vitamins, vitamin D. What does your vitamin D level look like? Those are all things that you can do to support your thyroid. So supporting your immune system, taking herbs and immune modulators so that your immune system can work better. If you have Hashimoto's, it's not just thyroid, there's a whole immune component that goes with it that we have to address. And then, like I said, it's not a forever sentence. Once you get that diagnosis, does not mean that you will always have it. If you have Hashimoto's and you're at an endocrinologist's office, most likely they're going to tell you that this is your sentence. You have this condition and you will always have it, and that's not true. Otherwise, why would I see people's antibodies go down if that wasn't true? Go down and stay down, not just fluctuate, not like, bounce up and down. That's a different story. So it's not a sentence. So, if you're somebody that's suffering with this, just understand that this is something that your body can heal and get over, and it's something that you don't have to live with for the rest of your life, but it will take some on your part to investigate why you have it, figure out what your triggers are, and that takes some effort, right? It takes filling out paperwork and coming to see me and spending time at a doctor's office like myself. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. It's really not. It just takes action on your part. And if you have the motivation to take action, then take action. I don't want to have a stamp of a diagnosis and live with it for the rest of my life. Like, I don't want that. I want my body to function normally, especially if I'm miserable, especially if I'm not feeling good all the time. And I'm having to just cope. Nobody wants to cope. You only live once, right? We don't want to live once coping. You want to live and enjoy life and not have to worry about this condition that's going to hold you down because you feel terrible all the time. So find your motivator and pick up the phone or type me a message. It's not difficult. It's not difficult. So like I said in the beginning, I can't give you a cookie cutter class, everybody gets the same recommendations kind of thing to cure their Hashimoto's. That's not how it works. But if you have it, then you need to get tested and call my office or send me a message, and we can set up a consult and we can get you tested, and we can help you figure out what your triggers are, and we can help you to remove them, and we can help to support your body and how it's supposed to work so that you don't have to suffer with this for the rest of your life. Okay? So I hope everybody has an awesome Friday. It's beautiful outside. I'm going to try to get out there, get some vitamin D. And I think that's it. I think that's all I got for you guys. So I hope y'all enjoy your Friday and your weekend. It's a prep weekend for me. I got to get ready for all my people coming for Thanksgiving. So, all right, y'all have a great day, and please reach out to me if you have questions. Please share this video. Tag somebody in it that you know that has Hashimoto's or thyroid issue, so that they can be informed, because I guarantee you their doctor's not informing them. So, all right, y'all have a great day. I will see y'all next week.